Bonjour.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Dan.
Ooh, we're going French.
Going French out here.
Okay, hello and welcome to The Long Walk. I'm Bill.
My name's Dan.
And we're here. We're
alive and well.
Coming at you live through the
power of the internet.
Power of the internet. Where's that from?
I've heard that before somewhere.
Is that Boogie 2988?
Could be.
You know
what? Say, shit, I've quoted someone accidentally.
Shit, we couldn't think of an original intro. Anyway, I'm Bill. I am 18, and we are going to talk to you a little bit about music.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of hit the topic there. I mean, you already know my name, Dan. 19, and yeah, we're ready.
Fantastic. We have no experience in this, but we're going to act knowledgeable for you guys today.
So enjoy.
So today, the topic is internet fame.
Yep.
And on that, we can just talk a little bit about how it is now. Because it just seems as if everybody's becoming a little bit, just famous out of it.
Yeah, it seems like you can do basically nothing and become a sensation, so to speak.
I mean, evidence with sort of, maybe you can look at artists like Juice WRLD, look at artists like Bad Baby, and all you see is just a bunch of people maybe getting one viral song or one viral meme, even just birthing an entire career, where they're able to sign to labels and they're able to tour and things, and all you do is just see them, doing their thing, and they seem to have a cult followings for something.
I mean, I think Bad Baby is a very good example there of being a meme and then somehow birthing some crazy career out of it. Her agents are clearly very talented. They're doing bits.
Yeah, but I mean, she's even got a reality show on Snapchat.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't want to say I've watched it because that's embarrassing, but I've seen bits of it. Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not great. Poor girl. But we're here to talk to you a little bit about maybe more of the organic kind of growth and some of the more typical growth that's happened throughout the years. So, how did it used to be, Dan?
Well,
before the internet.
Let's say you're a band. You basically, rehearse, get your act together. You try and get as many live concerts as you could, and any small gigs anywhere, and pray basically that someone was in the audience who knew someone who was at a label, and then once you got contact and networked and eventually met the right people, you'd end up hopefully being able to get some studio time and making some music.
Exactly. Very well summed up. Yeah, it tended to be just more toward you have to go through a label. There is no alternative option, especially in the 50s and 60s, where people the only exposure they really had to I guess, because that's interesting, the way sort of Elvis Presley came up through the 50s. And how he was seen as this bad thing because he got so big and so famous and just had this sort of rock and roll kind of attitude to it, and looked sort of deviant and things, very deviant from specifically what was considered acceptable at the time.
100%.
And because thinking back to maybe sort of America specifically, sort of people's exposure to music maybe was limited to maybe classical things, as well as some of the jazz and speakeasies. During the Prohibition era and things like Prohibition. Oh shit. No, Prohibition era. And it was just they wouldn't have had too much exposure to that until Elvis popped on the scene.
Yeah.
And so now they just wanted to sort of, and that's all they had to go off of. And so and then other people sort of coming up through the 60s, growing up in the 60s, would to be able to see the Beatles and things propel themselves to fame, the Stones, the Velvet Underground, everything like that, the Doors. They just were able to view sort of all of these people coming up, and they were coming up through exclusively label oriented things and not owning any of the masters to their music,
basically. It's interesting because it's the industry would decide who got famous and who didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, all they wanted to do was put this front man, and they got paid well enough to do what they did, play the instruments and do everything live and record their singles and things. But starting out, it was quite hard to conceive how a lot of people were able to gain any traction imminently. It became more widespread as more labels began to pop up, as more people started producing vinyl records and things like that. You definitely, it was only if you kind of knew people who were working in the studio, or you're able to network outside of that. find label execs to give you a chance to record a demo. Were you ever able to even get your foot in the door? If not, you just had to exclusively play live gigs and just hope there was someone in the audience, or that you gained enough traction to pull somebody. So yeah, it was definitely a different time.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason like the internet is so powerful now. It's like anyone can become famous, in inverted commas. It's like, do one thing, i.e. Bad Baby said, "Catch me outside, how about that?" and suddenly you're a star.
Yeah.
Back then, you had to hustle.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, for some things, because like we're kind of, there's like maybe sort of meme culture is weirdly driven a lot of some music recently. It's been some of these acts like Lil Pump and Bad Baby kind of thing coming up just off the basis that they have some stupid gimmick that this kind of were birthed from, and that was just able to propel them a bit even further. It's like perpetual sort of virality. Everything that they do, they become the meme. They don't. There's nothing outside of it. They're just a gimmick. Yeah. And I guess you kind of always had that with like gimmicky acts. But I guess it's now, because the internet's more accessible and it's, you can see what people are kind of looking for or looking to entertain them.
Yeah.
I mean, it stayed such a way, with sort of hunting through labels for a very long time. It happened, sort of maybe began in the 50s, and then sort of became, music became more widespread as more vinyl plants were opening, things like that, throughout the 20th century. And then you get to a point in about, I would say that the internet didn't even become properly viable as sort of like a way to go about getting any kind of music fame until the 2000s.
Oh, I'd say 2010.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like you can see like Soulja Boy was sort of like evidence of like some of the very early come up. And so, it's very recent that it's been able to be so viable to be able to come up like this.
It's very new. And I think that's part of the exciting thing about it. Like, we still have a lot of stars to come. I don't know if that means they'll start coming faster and going faster. Like, who knows? Maybe next year Lil Pump will have...
Well, I mean, he's already kind of falling into obscurity. I mean, I feel like he's, he needs to... I think a lot of these people, maybe they need to have some unique appeal and they need to stick a bit more, because I feel like, the lifespan of these artists is like constantly reducing. Like, if anybody is talking about Lil Pump or Bad Baby in 5 years' time, I will be decidedly overwhelmed. Like, they have to have some uniqueness about them. They have to be able to produce good music in order 100%. To keep going. And for some things, like, it's not that it's impossible for them to do such a thing, it's just that it seems unlikely.
They have a large audience right now, and I think that they either need to start like getting their stuff together now, or face being a regular person again.
I know, it's the 15 seconds of fame, it kind of applies. It's sort of everybody's gunning for their 15 seconds, but 15 seconds can sometimes be all you need, and then just build up a little fortune, and that's it. Retire off that. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, do what you like.
I feel J. Cole has talked about this a lot in his music as well, about the sort of lifespan of these new artists. Like, people who pushed you up initially are going to grow up, and they're not going to care about what your shenanigans are anymore. And that's it. All of these artists, I guess it's a trend in it, they're all incredibly young.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they're
younger than us even.
There's always going to be more younger people to pull from and to push as gimmicky artists.
Yeah, so true.
So we're not gonna be in a state where we need to listen to Lil Pump in 5 years. We'll have probably 10 Lil Pumps come and gone by the time that's even over. And it's weird because for some things you wonder how much these artists are actually into the music, or whether or not they're using it as just like a come up thing,
just like I can make a quick buck off this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing with Blueface. He didn't even, in a recent interview, he didn't even know who. He said he didn't even know anything about music per se. He just wasn't into it. He didn't like it, and he used rap solely as a way to earn money, and just happened to be in the studio with his friends and just record a verse, and it sounded unique and actually gained clout as well. And then Cole Bennett kind of picked it up, and then it became like another thing entirely as well, which is just I guess it's indicative a little bit of 2 Chainz' recent album, Rap Will Go to the League. It's people don't have many options, and rap is seen as a very viable option to get money,
to make money and make a living. But I think that comes across in the music as well, though. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Blueface's music, but Bust Down Tatiana wasn't exactly a masterpiece compared to other musicians who clearly very passionate about what they're saying. Take Kendrick or even Chance the Rapper, as you know, who's quite fitting for this.
Yeah, it's Chance the
podcast.
Rapper, very independent artist.
I think their music definitely has a lot more soul. Like their songs actually mean something.
Yeah, I know. I guess I would argue that it probably doesn't. Music doesn't have to mean something, and you can get away with these gimmicky things. But yeah, you do. So I guess I personally kind of wonder about the ethos of some of these artists, just like why they're doing what they're doing. Like if they want to, make that gimmicky music, get that mainstream appeal, then you can see previously their predecessors.
More power to them. It's working.
Yeah, it's working for them, and probably people won't be talking about them, but it is quite lucrative, and especially as people are getting more clued up now, especially in the hip-hop scene, as to making sure they own their masters when they sign these label deals. They can actually make sure that they can get some longevity and some steady income bringing in. And they're not sort of concerned about labels owning everything and them only getting maybe what seems like a lot of money in the beginning, sort of as a signing bonus, but then them getting strangled out of maybe other income, and as their lucrative spending habits kind of continue, it's not sustainable. So they can end up in tricky situations. I think like I saw recently, like De La Soul were sort of on Instagram making it aware that Tommy Boy Records were trying to put all of their music out, the 3 Feet High and Rising. I don't know if all of the other albums are coming out as well, onto streaming platforms, and they were only going to get 10% of that. They were going to get 90% was going to Tommy Boy. Effectively. I know, and it's all birthed from the fact that they, again at the time, didn't really know what they were signing, because they were excited. Yeah, they're excited. Definitely. Especially, I feel like hip hop is sort of epitomizing this because of the fact that a lot of the artists aren't coming from well-off backgrounds. Exactly. A lot of them are coming from impoverished neighborhoods, and they need, all they want is just the fast money, the good money to try and take care of everybody that they know, and there's a lot of people hanging on, and that seems to be just a continuing problem.
I mean, that's a very valid point. It's almost like it's a quick. There's not a quick buck in a way, but it's like there's some money I can make quickly. And to help, it would improve their life significantly.
Good God,
it's getting windy in here. Jesus.
I promise you that wasn't us. that was just wind coming in the attic. But yeah, I mean, I'd also argue that some of these artists are in fact doing their best to make what they would consider to be good music, and I don't think we can hate on that. I think, and I think not. Even if they're not, it's just they're doing their thing, and if it's working, yeah, no, exactly. If it's working for them, then absolutely power to them.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that goes back to the power of the internet thing. Is now you can, if you're lucky, I think you need a lot of luck to be successful on the internet, because it's more the internet decides who is quote unquote successful. But you can upload something to the internet for free and end up making a living off it.
Exactly. Yeah, the power of sort of SoundCloud, I guess you could even say, in recent years, as sort of SoundCloud rapper has kind of gone from a sort of derogatory insult to more of a even a compliment for something. Like, although maybe it still sort of retains some of the stigma, it actually isn't a bad thing anymore to be a SoundCloud rapper. You see people making a lot of money.
It's almost like you respect the hustle. It's like, oh, he's a SoundCloud rapper. Yeah, well, good luck. Almost. It's like, and you mean it. It's not like, you're in trouble now,
I know, it is interesting to see how it's sort of developed, and I think with the dawn of the internet, all of this has become possible. You see, Chance the Rapper evidently going about it after releasing Acid Rap, sort of going about it in a way where he can maintain his independence, and he is not tied down in any way, and yet he still manages to retain a social media presence. He still manages to retain streaming platform presence, things like that. And although there are a lot of artists that have deals with these streaming platforms and are able to rake the money in any which way, they have people wanting to take care of their merch, people wanting to take care of their extra access like cassettes and CDs and vinyls and stuff. You have all these people sort of ready to take care of everything, and so that's why to an independent it can seem kind of daunting. And they end up sort of starting their own labels, and I guess that's good. However, are they not going to just fall into the same practices?
I think on the one hand, maybe they'll be like a bit more. Their label might be more quote unquote fair.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, money does corrupt people.
I know. It's like you could 'cause you can arguably sort of say, okay, well, Travis Scott sort of has his like Cactus Jack records. Ooh. And I think that was like, I don't know if that is related to Good Music, or I think it might be a subsidiary of it. I don't know. But then you have people like Gunna, and I think signing to that.
Yeah.
And you just, I guess it just makes you wonder, like, obviously he's giving this in his music, and a lot of people's hip-hop music nowadays, it seems to be everyone's creating an air of success, and they're not concerned about anything else. But you just wonder how good that deal is. Like, how much is Travis Scott raking in off the back of that?
Exactly.
How much of Cactus Jack records is even Travis Scott raking off in the back of that? Like, obviously he has these massive shows and things, and that is a big lucrative way to make the money. So I do
wonder though how much money they make from a show. Like, let's say they sell out an arena.
It's a lot. It's because, think about it. If I was doing this, I was kind of just doing it in my head a little bit, like just with like even if you go to a little show, so say like a venue, like maybe a capacity of 400 something, let's say. If you're only charging 12 quid a ticket, that's still quite a lot of money. Like, you're still earning like that's still £4,000, and more than £4,000 that you're actually raking in off the back of 400 tickets sold. Even if you're only charging £10 per person, and the venue itself is going to be making more than that, because they're going to be able to charge drinks and things, and you've got the merch stand as well. That's another way of making the income. And so it's not, so actually that figure they can pay artists quite a lot. They can pay artists quite a large amount of that to come to their thing, because they know they're going to make at least $1,000 in drinks, and they're gonna and the social media presence is worth as much, because they're like, the artists will brag about playing in certain venues, even if they're small to massive venues that don't need any bragging about. Like, you can see this like happening a lot more. And so you actually don't have to. So you do look at it and think, actually, I believe, J. Cole probably charges about $100,000 a show. I think maybe even more, with $200,000. Like,
wow, imagine like making that in one night.
I know, it's crazy, but it does kind of make sense, I guess, when you get to this sort of massive scale of artist. And if it's one of, and it will be, because of the fact that people don't make much money off streaming as such. All they're there to do is to keep pushing their presence and their name out, and so they don't become irrelevant. There's various bands and stuff in the past that have been opposed to streaming because they prefer that physical thing.
Take Taylor Swift, not a band.
Swift, but then again, Taylor Swift, I think she would have cut a deal with Spotify, like, for many millions to be able to get her music on. Yeah. Although she won't be making much music off it when it's on there, but they have it for like a period at least. Yeah. And probably costing Spotify £5 million, dollars, whatever, just because they know they're going to pull Taylor Swift fans that may be stuck on Apple Music, on Tidal or whatever. They're going to pull them in and get them staying, make sure they stay.
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion to be had there about streaming services.
I know, exactly.
We'll save that for another time.
It is crazy though. I will just say though that it's the streaming platform corresponds to the internet age kind of thing.
It does.
Got so many ways of listening to music now, quite a bit illicitly. However, if you're paying for the product like Spotify, Apple Music and things, they're giving you a lot of.
It's a lot of value you're getting for that £10 a month subscription. You've got access to millions of songs, millions and millions of songs. But I guess that's one of the downsides to the age of the internet, is that whereas the artists, if you sold an album, they would make a significant amount of money. Like, if someone listened to one of your albums, they would have to buy it. Yeah. Now it's like a fraction of a penny would go towards that stream of your album.
And it's a bit insane sometimes when you think about it, and that's one of the reasons why people buy the artist merch rather, and they want to support them because they know. And I guess it's sort of. The Bandcamp have like a system where sometimes they give the artist the opportunity to sort of pay what you want. And so you can pay nothing for an album. Sometimes the artists let you do that. Sometimes they sort of say, well, the minimum of $5 they want for an album.
Yeah.
However, some of the artists will say, you know what, you can have this album for free if you want. And if you want to get the album, downloaded and everything, you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
Pay what you can, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm,
and that's a very nice sentiment, because I think a lot of people, if they are, if they have the opportunity of having a significant amount of wealth, having means, then they're able to contribute in their own way. And if people don't right now, then they can they can get it for free, they can enjoy it still for free, but they'll maybe go to their show, pay the ticket price, pay the merch price, things like that, go and support them in that way, get the vinyl, get the CD, get the cassette, get the shirt, get all of that stuff, and support them.
It's kind of like a Patreon, but
exactly
in real life.
That's it, all contributing to the internet age. It's changing the way we do things. People are seen as like individual entities, and if you get enough clout, then you can sort of support yourself through that, as opposed to needing the labels, say, as previous artists have had to go through. Well,
I guess that's kind of like the organic way of making the money. Like, that's how they used to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's less corrupted now, but doesn't mean there isn't, because you do see sometimes obvious industry plants, and by that we sort of mean people who have been sort of pre-chosen, sort of pre-screened. There's no sexual assault charges against them or anything like that. They're not going to be a risky investment. You put a bunch of money behind them, you push them out, put loads of billboards up, even if and you just they've just released one album and suddenly they're the next big thing, just because of the fact that, not because of the music or anything like that, just because of the fact that they are just so big or seem to be everywhere.
I mean, this is slightly off topic now compared to what you just said, but going to like things that have like become popular off the internet. This isn't someone who's become popular because of the internet, but I've been made aware of because of memes on the internet. Billie Eilish, I was completely unaware of until I saw some memes about her. Very, very good point. So it's almost like memes have like, we said this at the beginning, but memes are like almost, they're free PR. Like, if you get a meme made about you after you've become a musician, that's more beneficial to you. I guess it also depends like on fan bases and things. Like, I think a lot of it is to do with you do get people, cult followings who will worship everything you do. Exactly. I think a key example might even be XXXTentacion. Like the way he is sort of worshipped like a deity almost. After his death, like a martyr for the art of music, and it's kind of like, well, he wasn't getting the music. I don't understand why people sort of flock to that for some things, because I do understand. I guess I understand like the appeal of worshipping a dead artist, and people joining sort of the 27 Club. You hear about like Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, people like that, dying early, Kurt Cobain. These people and their music, I guess, becomes more poignant because of that. Yeah, definitely. And I don't even know if it should be, but it just is. It does. I think, in the internet age, we see how much that affects it. I think previously you've kind of just always had an inkling that they've become just infamous because of their death now. However, we see XXXTentacion, you can look at his streaming numbers before and after his death, and you can just see that like Moonlight and things creeping up to like 1 billion plays on Spotify, when before they would have been lucky to break 100 million. I guess that comes back to the internet. It's just it's like, I don't want to say it's a trend to like XXXTentacion because of his death, but it kind of is a trend. Like, it's you see people posting, oh no, this person's died, you check him out and you'll be like, oh, I like this music, and post about it, like, such a shame this guy's dead, and suddenly you've got a viral thing going of someone's death. I know, which is kind of morbid if you think about it, but I know, and it's also questioning about their legacy. And I even see memes like sometimes I feel like memes are like sort of political cartoons of our day now, because we don't read memes are art. we don't read the newspapers like as much as our parents would have, or their parents before them. I know, and you sort of see like. You sort of see like a meme of like SpongeBob looking dishevelled, and like when XXXTentacion's label can't find any more music to put out after his death. So all this posthumous release, and it does beg the question how people handle sort of posthumous releases, something like Lil Peep and XXXTentacion, how it should be dealt with. Because you can't speak for them, and you don't for some things. All it is just a big old cash grab, and I think everyone, or at least most people, sort of realise that. But
sort of don't really care either way. And
it's like the
it's hard
music's
to stop
there,
it.
listen to it, sure. Like,
It's hard to stop that kind of following, I guess. Which is, it is slightly sad because some people, definitely that their legacy won't have been wanted. You wouldn't have been tarnished the way that some of these things have, and you want people to just, I guess, enjoy the music that you had made when you were alive.
yeah.
And it kind of maybe comes back to, I guess, this specifically separating the art from the artist. But it's definitely... Yeah, I think the internet has just increased this massive exposure. You didn't know who Billie Eilish was before the memes, but now you do. So you check her out and you like her music or you don't like her music.
I like it.
And and you can like sort of either stay away or like join in like the fanfare, and it's sort of a way of bringing... I think it is quite beautiful though in a way, because it does bring together, like, especially like you can see through things like Reddit, it brings to get people together over a particular entity, and they can fanboy about them, fangirl about them, and they can
about them. 2019.
Oh, sorry, fan about them. And they can just have a good time and interact with people who they would, maybe get on with, sort of friends of pleasure, as Aristotle would put it. They like the same things and do the same things together.
And a nice little link to philosophy there. I love it.
Can't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. But I think the going back to like the people who are musicians and then have a meme or a breakout something, be it a music video or whatever about them, I feel like I said, that kind of career is like much more likely to be like have longevity to it, because you look at Post Malone with I wasn't aware of Post Malone until his White Iverson music video released, and that I think blew up. That made Post Malone the Post Malone we know now.
Massive.
Huge. It was something, I can't remember how many views it got like,
it's probably getting on for 1 billion now.
It must be, but at the time it was like 40 million in a few days. From someone who was no one at the time. That was, well, I say no one, they were an artist they had just released their first thing.
Exactly. And YouTube, I guess, provides like a nice little catalogue, like a portfolio almost, that people can like click on and they can see how you're doing, and it makes it easier, I guess, sometimes for label scouts. They don't have to go all the way to Detroit to see a show. They don't have to go all the way to Edinburgh to see a show. They can go online and they can listen to your music that you're putting out. And you don't even need studio equipment anymore. You can have I think I sort of heard that XXXTentacion specifically started with just like a Sploo Snowball mic, and just like getting those type beats kind of thing. Like you get Drake type beat, and then just start rapping, and that can sort of birth it almost. And it's a really nice way of like putting out a presence online. Like Justin Bieber as well, like key example. Like he label exec, obviously this is through a label, which I guess nullifies the internet age a little bit, but he did, the label exec accidentally clicked on one of Justin Bieber's videos, and the rest is history. He kind of just came up through that vein.
But again, it comes down to luck.
It comes down to luck a bit, but I guess it gives, for some things, I guess, getting spotted as a musician, as your chances are increased in the internet
significantly.
age.
I was going to say, the internet has definitely made you a more lucky person.
Yes,
more likely to be a lucky person.
Although the market is like saturated a bit.
Oh, you could argue it's saturated, but I think there's still a space. There's a lot of niches which are yet to be filled and yet to be discovered.
Exactly. Very poignant. Yeah, I like that. Definitely, there's genres we don't know exist that won't exist in 50 years, but they'll exist in 100 years. Like
exactly,
we've no idea what's going to happen, and
we're in like the first 10 years of the internet actually being what we know as the internet.
Yeah, hip hop now. Like look at hip hop like in the 1980s and 90s. You look at hip hop now. It's like worlds apart. Almost.
Yeah, if NWA looked at Lil Pump right now, like they would lose their shit, I assume.
And you hear a lot of these sort of groups that are taking traditional music genres and just completely just revamping them for their own style. Like you see sort of Death Grips.
I love that.
And they're going out and they are making this abrasive music that really does appeal to people maybe who would have been metal fans if they grew up in the 70s, or would have been just hardcore, I guess, Elvis Presley fans if they'd grown up in the 50s. Like all of these people, it's just dependent on the time that you're alive, and I think now is a really exciting time to be alive, because
100%.
You can you don't need, I guess it's more sort of, it's getting a bit better to this sort of equality of opportunity, that although rich artists do make it, you know, like Vampire Weekend and maybe The Strokes, I don't know if they're rich, so I don't know how rich some of these artists are, but I guess it's sort of more equality of opportunity. People who are from the impoverished neighborhoods are able to bring forth their talent and their will and excitement. Yeah, the equality of sort of equal opportunity almost. Although that's never going to happen.
No, another debate to be had.
Too many topics. But yeah, no, going back to the Post Malone thing.
Yeah, music videos and such.
It's massive appeal, and the way in which they blow up now and can create a song that can be almost that can be maybe like a good song that a few people know about on a good album.
Yeah.
To a huge song that's like just transcends music. Sicko mode.
Take sicko mode. I mean, I think music videos now have the capacity to, you know, make a star a much bigger star and reach a much wider audience as well, but also almost make or break a career sometimes.
Exactly. I mean, Cole Bennett is sort of a curator of taste as well. Like, you can see that now music videos just becoming so important to an artist's emerging thing. And yeah, that was it. I think I remember hearing Post Malone a couple of years ago talk about that, and he was sort of just saying that he had like a friend who had a Bentley, and they just went out with a camera and they just filmed the video for the music video, and it just got so much traction out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and
they did not see it coming. You can't see it coming.
But it's because he had quite a unique sound as well, and it was along the.
Still does, I think.
He was riding a little bit of a wave, and I think sometimes people have to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of more artists will ride a wave than will create one. And they will sort of create like this.
I feel like the wave is almost determined by the audience.
Exactly, yeah. You see hip hop becoming like more of a thing, and then you see Post Malone, a guy sort of doused in tattoos and stuff like everybody else is. I mean, he wasn't so much at the time, but
at the time he didn't have a single face tat.
He didn't have a single face tat, and then and so maybe to keep, and you know, like he has his own philosophy for why he's done that, but you can't argue that face tats haven't been popular, at least to some demographics.
I mean, you argue all the whole rock star face tat thing, but I'm trying to think of rock stars from back in the day who had face tats, and there weren't many.
No, there were job stoppers. People didn't really want to rule out them becoming like a lawyer or something if they needed to. Their music career went tits up. But some people use it as motivation. I think Lil Skies even said the reason he got loads of his face tats was because he knew he would either die trying this or he would just not. Yeah, he would
make it way less likely that he could possibly get a normal job. Like, he wanted to pursue music.
Yeah, it works as a motivating factor. If you limit your options, then you just have to pursue this thing that you really want to do.
Which becomes difficult if you don't want to do music anymore, but that's it.
I know, right? Like, it's just putting on my... It's like, just choosing to write some dumb shit on my CV. Like, can neck 10 pints in a minute. And it's just like, let's... And it's like, well, that's really not going to... You know, that's just deliberately not getting me jobs. So, you know, no matter whatever you apply to, I guess just, but it's like a really permanent fucking motivator.
Yeah.
So I don't know about sometimes I can appreciate people's logic and philosophy for it. However, I think I might stay away.
I'm alright.
We gotta keep our faces pretty, man.
Yeah, man. It's natural beauty.
Natural beauty. Hell yeah.
Don't get embellished by a face tat.
Yeah,
or might get that one teardrop tattoo.
Oh, no.
No, I'm joking.
It's like, why don't you get face tats? I like women too much, you know. I don't want them to just like freak out when they see me. But I do see that power of the music video definitely becoming more potent.
Yeah, I mean, it can change the image you have of an artist as well. I mean, take Drake, going back to the God's Plan music video.
Oh yeah.
I mean, many people who might not have known who Drake was would instantly think this is a very giving person.
Yeah, I think Drake's probably a unique exception in that everybody already knows who he is from like his previous work. But now if anybody wasn't clued up before, you know, it's quite like, I feel like there are certain generations of people who probably aren't acclimatized to the internet age. But I think as time progresses, I think when we become 80 years old, I think, God, it's a horrible thought, but I think when we become 80 years old, I think the next big thing will have come along.
Yeah.
And so it will be, I feel for some things, if the internet is still kicking, it's still alive and kicking then, which I think it should be. I don't know, but I just don't know if it'll be different. It'll be different. I don't know. Yeah. It's one of those things you can't really call how
it'll evolve.
How it will shift.
Yeah.
Because that's how long. 60 years is a long time. A long time.
I mean, 60 years ago there was no internet, so
exactly. Yeah, I know.
60 years from now, so
there's going to be new stuff that we can't even comprehend yet. The next big thing is being invented now, and the big thing after that is going to be invented after that. And that's a bit of a stupid sentence, but you know. Of course, I'm on my knees. But yeah, no, there's definitely going to be a lot of traction in future and going to be more unique paths. I even see virtual concerts becoming a little bit of a thing.
Oh gosh, like a VR kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
Did you see there was a Minecraft? They had like the Minecraft Coachella. I don't think it was called Mindchella or something like that.
I think it's time we turned off the internet. To be honest,
Coldchella. It was Coldchella.
Oh my word, that's not real. I don't believe you.
It was. I can't remember. I think they got some people to play it. I think they got some people to play it, some like, actual real world artists, and I missed it. I was a bit annoyed actually. I wanted to fire up my Minecraft and play this concert. I really wanted to.
Oh my gosh.
But I just didn't get the chance. And I really think that was just... I think that just epitomizes sort of what we're capable of now. We can literally have like a set list and thing that you can connect to in a few seconds. And while I think there's definitely a counter argument to all of this. Yeah. I think that the ease of access and thing is obviously countered by maybe sentiment. I think people are losing out maybe nowadays on having sort of sentimental value embellished. People were talking about, they say, I had a list of albums that I wanted to hear, and I went to every record store if I was on tour. It's just from a guy called Stuart Lee. He's a comedian. He was talking about it. So whenever he went on tour, he would go around with like a list, and every town he would go to, he'd go into a record store and be like, have you got such and such album? Have you got the Smiths? Have you got Pink Floyd? Have you got probably more obscure artists probably at the time, because they probably would have been much more widely spread. However, he was sort of going through and sort of asking Joy Division, do you have that? What have you got? And he kept that list on him, and he kept going out, and then so it may take him 20 years or so to find an album, but when he got it meant something because he took so long to get it. Whereas now you've even got things like Discogs and stuff online where you can just go on, you can find the condition of an album, and you can buy it, and you can order, and it comes to your house in a couple of days, and you can play it. And for some things that is nice. However, so you could argue that some of the sentiment is lost in that.
I mean, definitely the internet enables instant gratification. Like the analog of going to a shop and looking for something is completely gone. You can find whatever you want in seconds on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's probably a sad thing. And I think I think the vinyl revival is probably indicative a little bit of people sort of shifting, maybe sort of leering a bit back from the way in which the internet is completely taking over our lives.
I mean, practically thinking, vinyl going back to vinyl doesn't make sense. But I think on a on a more I'm trying to find the right word here. More on an emotional level, let's say. You're more invested in your music, and it means more to you. Like, it's the same songs, but you're more invested, so it means more. Yeah,
it's just you maybe have like this physical sort of thing in front of you, and you can sort of you can feel it, you can put it on, and you can play it, and it will, and for some things, I guess like for some things, like you look at a vinyl, it's kind of miraculous how it's even able to play music at all.
I know, you think about it, like, whoa.
But I guess that's in the same way. It's so we're so abstracted away from like the fundamentals of computers that all we do is we just see a screen, and like we can click the logo, and we can go somewhere and look at like something that's projected on a server tens of thousands of miles away, and that's just crazy.
It is crazy. And if we appreciated computers for what they were, I think maybe
people wouldn't be so angry when they stopped working. Like
people are like, that's okay.
You know what? It's okay. Computer is fine. You're not loading right now. Take your time.
It's all right.
It's crazy just how enveloped our society's becoming it. Sort of with the proficiency of like smartphones and things, you can download literally thousands of songs onto your phone, and you can listen to them whenever you like in Bluetooth headphones that aren't even like tangibly linked to your phone. Like everything is so abstracted away from what what physically is going on, that we are just we're living in a complete. If you were to take someone from 1940s and just plonk them here, they would freak out. They would just freak out. Even
first of all, they wonder what happened with the war. But
it would just be complete new universe to them. We've still got, because obviously we've still got some of like the relics of that time. We have the same instruments for some things that we play on. We have, we still have vinyl records. We still have cars and things. However, like the demographic has just shifted so much. But you can see sort of like auras of tradition, like I guess, still throughout society. You still see people getting weddings in horse-drawn carriages and that stuff. I think it's a lot to do with appeal as well. I think the internet just makes it just everything easier, and that can be construed as a good or bad thing. I guess you could argue for some things that previously taste has been, the public sort of opinion has been curated by those higher up, but the internet has made it better.
That's flipped on its head almost.
It's just completely flipped on its head. Now the proletariat.
The proletariat decide.
Finally,
the time has come.
Karl Marx, rise up. But now the proletariat can decide what the hell's going on. Like we're not subject to the bourgeoisie.
Bourgeoisie.
Screw them.
I mean, that kind of goes full circle then, doesn't it, to where we started with, labels and stuff deciding and not being able to put your music on the internet because there was no internet.
Exactly.
You can, and
that's why stuff like, what was that bill that was like getting a big kerfuffle in the States, like the free internet one.
Yeah, the FCC thing.
FCC, I've forgotten the name of it, but
net neutrality. There we go.
Net neutrality. That's it. There was obviously a big appeal because people didn't want certain sites being slowed down because they couldn't afford to pay the premium, or that site wasn't a member of the Sky or BT plan. You know, like that takes something away that the internet. That the internet really needs, and it needs to be sort of, I guess, unbiased. If you're rich and living in a massive mansion, you're accessing the same internet as someone who's, living in maybe a poor neighborhood just on their phone.
Yeah, exactly.
But the internet is really, I guess, it's a really good outlet. It's a really good positive, neutral outlet where people can just experiment and do whatever they want.
Exactly, and I guess that sums up the pro net neutrality argument right there.
Fuck that dude who was trying to
Ajit Pai.
Oh my god, you do.
He was a meme as well.
He was a meme.
Wow.
See, that's it. Peter became a meme because they criticised Steve Irwin or something recently.
I mean, you can't do that, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, it's ridiculous the way that meme culture sort of drives public opinion.
It's crazy. It does drive public opinion. That's like. If you think that is crazy, isn't it? Like what started out as, like the original memes where it's like, that kid who had like his fist out and looked like he was celebrating, and it was like on a background which was like kind of like these exploding stripes, and it's like when you score a goal in football, and everyone would lose their shit. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. That's only going back like
literally
6 years,
6-7 years. Yeah.
That's like the type of memes we had. Now the memes are just so integrated now, just because people are growing up with them, and so that's the thing. People grow up with these things, and then they innovate, and then they make it for the next generation.
Exactly. I mean,
so we're going to see people growing up with the internet now, innovating, and then making something even better, or adding to it, or doing something completely different that we can't even comprehend because it's not even here.
Exactly. I mean, take memes. They've evolved from what we've just described to almost like political statements and stuff. Like they've almost become the political cartoon of the 21st century.
They were something that we kind of grew up with because as you say, in 2012, 2013, they were these sort of stupid like internet things with like the big white text on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's in 2013, 2014, still like that. And now it's kind of evolved to the point where we have grown up with them, so we have changed them.
Yeah.
We've
changed with them.
We've changed with them. So which is quite unique in a way, because now there are memes kind of for all age groups, but for us, we kind of changed them as we went forward.
Yeah.
We were the meme innovators.
We were the innovators of the meme age.
We dictated the taste of memes and things to come, and so now you get ridiculous levels of irony and shit. It's exactly what we're all about. But yeah, I think, is that it?
I think we've kind of gone on an absolute mad one. Stop
calling you fat. Should answer. Stop calling my phone.
me phone. All right. Well, I mean, maybe that's a sign.
Yeah, Mr. Popular over here. We really needs to go back to his schedule. So we're gonna
Shut up.
we're gonna hold it there.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so
listening
much.
in. It's a new endeavor. If we're a bit
really
rusty, sorry.
I mean, we're having fun.
We're having
That's
fun.
what matters.
That's what matters. Experience, onwards and upwards.
Exactly.
Improvise,
Put this on the
adapt,
CV.
overcome.
Thank you, Bear Grylls, for that marvelous meme again. See, I think
Stop. We start the podcast now.
Stop. It's going too far. No, but yeah, no, it's good. Internet fame all the way down to memes through. I don't know. It was a wild roller coaster, wasn't it?
It's a roller coaster. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If there's any criticism, any feedback, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
On our Instagram,
social
or
media
like
channel.
that.
We've got Long Walk on Instagram with a 0 for the O because
exactly. Pay
we're that
attention.
cool, and also it wasn't available. But
Long wasn't readily available.
that's the best way to reach us.
Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Bill.
And I've been Dan.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you soon.